Hi, hello everyone, and welcome to another training video tutorial. I'm Vicente, the CEO of Aerial Precision, and in this video, I'm going to show you how easy and fast it is to process LiDAR data captured with one of our sensors on an iPad on the field just after capturing the data. In this particular case, we're using AP-LiDAR-One Gen II sensor. We flew over an open mine for about 18 minutes, covering a total of 25 hectares. And as you can see here, we captured more than 180 million points with an average point density of 700 points per square meter. Before we can start processing our data, let's make sure we have the latest version of our app installed. So for that, we go to the App Store and we search for Aerial Precision and we download the app. And when it's downloaded, it's for free. We can go into the app and start the processing. So for that, I'm going to go back here to my project browser. So this is a list of all the known projects by the app. This is the project we're just going to produce. So I'm going to delete it and I'm going to start over again. So first thing we need to do is to create a new project. We choose a location for that project. In this case, it's going to be this chalk mine folder that I have on my iPad. I choose it, and then he will ask for a project name. And we will name this project just Chalk Mine. And the next thing we need to tell the project is what kind of coordinate reference system we want to use. So by default, the system, the app proposes you the WGS84 with ellipsoidal height. But we know that this point cloud is located somewhere in Belgium. So I'm going to search here for Belgian coordinate reference systems. And we want to use, for this particular case, the Belgian Lambert 2008 blades Austin height. I will choose a compound CRS where we'll have the three coordinates perfectly defined. So X will go on easting, Y will go to the north, and the vertical will be gravity related height. So we choose this coordinate reference system, and now we can create our project. The first thing we see here is an empty canvas where we will be able to put our LiDAR data, ground control points, and many other assets that our project will require. On the top left, we have our project settings, so the name and the coordinate reference system. If we click on it, we can change the coordinate reference system anytime. We can also choose non-geographic related coordinate reference systems, but in this case, we're going to stay with the one selected. So the next thing we need to do is to add our aerial precision scan from AP-LiDAR-One Gen II into our project, which is this file here. This comes directly from the sensor. So it's one unique file that includes all sorts of information, including LiDAR, IMU, GNSS, etc. So we choose the file to get import, and we get the APSCAN processing view. In this window, we get an overview of the importing progress. And as we can read here, the date of the flight, file size, total flight time, the very preliminary estimated area covered, point density will be calculated later, flight height, speed, how many GNSS signals we track. We can have a quick look to a quality report of the signals, including left and right antennas, and also where the area was located and the flight path. Now the scan is fully imported. Next thing we need to tell the app to be able to process this data is where the sensor was mounted and where were the antennas with respect to the sensor. So in this case, it was on a DJI M350 drone, and antennas were mounted in diagonal. So we have baselines of about 0.8 meters. And we also need to give an observation file for the GNSS post-processing. In this case, we have our RENEX file here. Use open, and the app will check the distance to our flights. It's about 3 kilometers away, the base station. We are tracking all the signals we need, and the starting and the end time of the observation is within our flight. So we choose it, and we just click process scan. At some point in the video, I'm going to fast forward so we don't need to wait for the whole processing to finish, but you can always keep an eye on the actual time elapsed since we started the processing, so you get an idea how fast this data gets processed on a mobile device. Once PPK post-processing is completed for the left antenna, we can get an idea of the quality of that post-processing. So for example, in this case, we have more than 22,000 samples captured at 20 Hz with an average observation of 23 different satellites. The solution type is 100% fixed, which is really good. And we have standard deviations of 8 millimeters on the x-axis, 4 millimeters on the y, and 9 millimeters on the vertical. Once the right antenna is completed, we will have similar quality report on the solution, and then the app will start post-processing the full 6 degrees of freedom flight trajectory of the sensor, and then the LiDAR points, and finally it will do an indexing pass so we can have access to the 190 million points in a very efficient way on the app. Once we have both left and right antennas post-process, for every single sample that we capture, we measure the distance between the two antennas and we compare that with the actual design baseline of where the antenna is supposed to be. And then we calculate the standard deviation of those measurements. And so we can see that we have standard deviation of just 4 millimeters for the 22,000 samples. That's really good GNSS post-processing. Once the full 6 degrees of freedom trajectory is processed and the LiDAR points are calculated, as you can see here, 184 million points, indexing starts, and it doesn't take too long, just a few minutes maybe. And when it's done, the scan is fully processed. As you can see, it just took about 8 minutes, 9 very shortly, for a total flight time of 19 minutes. So it's about half of the time of the scanning time, what it takes to actually process the data on an iPad. So now that we are done, we can close this window and have a look to our just processed LiDAR scan. So let me quickly guide you through the app. So as you can see, we have a grid here that sometimes is just in between of our point of interest. So I'm going to hide it. Just clicking down here, we can hide the grid. You see that we have a flight trajectory in yellow here. This is the actual flight path that the drone took. So it took off from this position, flew to the first waypoint somewhere here, and then start its grid pattern to capture all this data. If that is not interested to be on the view, we can hide it here in this button. So here we have a list of the project assets. In this case, we have one APSCAN and one base station data. So this APSCAN is the file we imported, and we can always go back to that window by clicking here on the settings to get an idea of how good the data was on processing, quality report, etc. So now I'm going to hide these project assets and show you, for example, on the left bottom, we have the appearance menu. And here we can change the colors of our point cloud, how it gets colorized. We can drag, for example, the top heights for the reds or the bottoms for the blues, for example. We can also drag the whole slider to colorize our area of interest in a nicer way. If we want, we can also hide those points that are outside of the color scale by just clicking here. And this is also a way to filter, in this case, by height, for example. To reset, we double click on the color bar and we have our full scale colorization. We can also color, for example, by reflectivity. In this case, let's lower the maximum reflectivity so we get a little bit more contrast. And this will be our point cloud colorized by the reflectivity of the surface that our sensor is also able to capture. But let's go back to height so we have a nicer view. We can drag the slider to change the field of view of this camera here that we're using to show you the point cloud. You can also change the point size or the ideal strength. This is this depth-based texture that we get to have a nicer look into the point cloud. If we go all the way down, we don't see many features. That's about the appearance menu. Now let's explore a little bit the actual point cloud. Let's see how good the quality is. To check the accuracy and the overall quality of this point cloud capture with AP-LiDAR-One, let's have a look, for example, to the ability of the LiDAR to penetrate vegetation. So here in this section, we have a dense vegetation area. And the best way to actually see that penetration of the LiDAR signal is to look upside down or to look beneath or from the bottom of the actual point cloud. And you can see here we can even
get an idea of these water streams that comes from the top of the hill downhill. And we can see we have many points below the trees. And that's really good. Also, another way to explore other things that I want to show you is, for example, the level of detail we have here on the surface. So let's have a look to these ramps and this given construction here to get an idea of the noise level of this point cloud. And let's change the color scale so we have better definition of the area. Like, for example, something like this. Let's reset the color scale. Now when I show you, for example, how thick the roofs here are, is another way to measure the noise level of this point cloud. So let's go there and let's have a look. I'm going to put the point size very small so we have better visibility on that, and let's check that. We see all our streets are perfectly aligned automatically during the processing, and we have a very well defined, consistent, globally accurate point cloud just processed on an iPad in a few minutes.
Now the point cloud is here in our project. So one of the things we can do right now is maybe export that into a LAS file to share with one of our customers. This is our export point cloud view, where we can give a name to the point cloud. We can choose if we want to compress the point cloud into a LAS file. We can also choose the point density that's going to be exported. Sometimes we have very, very large point clouds with billions of points, and we want to just share a few of them, because if not, we produce very large files. We can just drag the slider down to reduce the point density. In this case, I'm going to keep it to 100%. And you can see we're going to produce a 1.4 gigabytes of file. If we don't compress, that goes up to 4.8. So let's keep it compressed. Something else we can choose here in the export is the coordinate reference system of the point cloud. We can reproject this data into any other coordinate reference system. Doesn't need to be the project. We can choose the project coordinate reference system, but we can also choose any other coordinate reference system that is compatible with this one. Or if we don't want to share, for example, geographic information about this point cloud, we can just choose others and choose, for example, the Northwest App coordinate reference system to remove that geographical information. But in this case, I want to export it into the project coordinate reference system. And that's everything we need. We just click export. We choose a location for our file. It's going to go really fast, exporting the points. And once it's compressed, we are ready to share the file. When the point cloud is fully exported, we can go to our file browser here on the iPad, and on the folder we choose, we have our last file here ready to be shared. You can actually download this exact point cloud that we just exported from our website. So go there, download it, and check the quality and accuracy of this point cloud yourself. So thank you very much for watching. This is what we wanted to share with you today, how to process LiDAR data on an iPad in a very easy and very fast way to do it. Stay tuned for more videos, and thank you very much. Bye.